Good evening. Good evening. How you guys doing out there? It's Mike Melton back with From Pain to Purpose podcast. This evening, man, I got a very special guest, man. A big brother of mine growing up. And this brother's put in a lot of work in Trenton, gave his service, put his life on the line for people of Trenton and for New Jersey. No other than Big Cheese Day is joining us tonight. What's up, Cheese? How you doing tonight, brother?
Good, brother Mike. Good, and thanks for having me on tonight, brother, to share my story. I appreciate the honor and for you to ask me to come on. I appreciate it, brother.
I appreciate it, brother. Let me go in here and go on the book and share this on your page so we could get started. Put it on there. Oh, there it goes. You just popped up. There we go. All right, we could get started. So what's up, Cheese? How you doing, man? Everything good down there?
Yeah, I'm good, brother. I'm blessed, brother.
All right, man. Let's take it back from the beginning, man. Let's talk about growing up, man. Life as a youngster, man, with your family, your mother and father. Like, where was y'all living at, and how was life growing up as a youngster, man?
Well, it started off kind of rough, brother. You know, you showing that picture right there. That's my mother, my brother, and my aunt, and that's
Mm-hmm.
me in the blue. That's at
Mm-hmm.
24 Eastingham Avenue, right there in Trenton, right down from the baseball field.
Mm.
And my mother had me at 17, and it was tragic, man. My father, he went off to Vietnam and came back. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if it was he was stressed out from the war, but him and my mother didn't work it out, and she wound up leaving Trenton and going to Smithfield, Virginia,
Mm.
and he followed her down there and he killed her. He shot her
Yeah,
twice
I
in the
see.
head and three times in the body.
Wow, yeah, the tragedy, and this is your mom right there, right? Beautiful lady,
Right,
man,
right,
and
right.
and that's the
Mhm.
house where the tragedy happened at. Like,
Right. That's an older picture, but my great grandmother lived in that house until her death. So
wow.
the incident happened in '68, what used to bug me out that was during the civil rights era and Martin Luther King. He
Mm,
got assassinated in '68,
mm,
and all our civil rights leaders was being taken out. And that kind of bugged me out with my father's mindset that all this is going on, and
mm.
you're gonna take your wife out. So that kind of tripped me out of his mindset during the civil rights time.
Wow, brother, for you to face something like that early in life, like I can't even imagine what, like, when all of this is going on. If you can remember, like, what was going through your mind and what was your mindset, like, moving forward after that.
Well, the crazy, well, to go back a little bit, I was there,
Mm,
and I talk about it in my book. Like I was at the house. My cousin and I, Kenny, we was playing in the front yard,
mm-hmm,
and we heard the gunshots, and my father ran out of the house, and my great grandmother was chasing after him. I went in the house and seen my mother in the front room,
mm-hmm,
you know, shot and bleeding out.
mm,
And so it was a tough time. And one thing I got to give my grandmother and my great grandmother uh, credit for, they just told me what straight up what happened, even though I was
wow.
there. So I guess they had to.
Mm-hmm,
And they said you gotta move on, you gotta persevere. And I had two strong grandparents, my great grandmother Josephine Lee and my grandmother who raised me,
mm-hmm,
Miss Dot. So
mm-hmm,
they kind of like being straight up and straightforward. They didn't baby me or
mm,
say, well, he saw that and try to cuddle me. They just, this is tragedy that happened in the family. You got to move on. So I
mm.
credit them for being transparent with my brother and I, in that situation.
Indeed. So, did what happened with your father after that?
He only did 10 years in prison. He did 10 years.
Wow.
but you got to look at it. It's you know it's 1968.
Uh-huh.
It's a black family situation,
Yeah.
and he was a Vietnam vet, so they probably gave him postpartum depression,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
he only did 10 years for that.
Did you guys ever like come face to face after that? Did you forgive him, or like how was your relationship after that?
I met him when I was 18 years old.
Mm.
It's in the book. Uh, I had I think my great grandfather passed away or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I took my son with me, my oldest son, John Jr., to the barber shop, and the barbers asked me, was I a day? He said, "What's my name?" I said, "John." They said, "You look just like the days." And through that barber, I met my aunt, what I call her my cousin because we so close in age,
Mm-hmm.
Regina, and then I got to meet the day side of the family.
Mm.
And so I wanted to hear his side of the story, and he lied to me.
Mm.
He tried to blame it on my uncle. Said that
Mm.
him and my uncle got into a tussle, and my uncle accidentally shot my mom. But unbeknownst to him, he didn't know that I had the death certificate, and I had the
Mm.
article that my uncle Bubba gave to me of the incident. He
Mm.
didn't know that part.
Did that like further the hurt, make the hurt more that you knew he was lying, or was you at that point where you was able to just forgive and move on?
And to forget the more, because I was at the I was the age of 18. I was a teenage dad. Like I said, I had my son at the barbershop. So
Yeah.
I just heard his story and it kind of, just told me a lot about him,
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, man.
So
Yeah.
I just cut him off and just say hello. But the good thing about that situation is I got to meet the day side of the family.
That's
I got a
dope.
chance to meet his mother, my grandmother, Grandma Ursula.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, my cousin Regina and all the other day side of the family. So it was a positive in the meeting. Even though I really
Mm.
didn't deal with him,
Mm-hmm.
I still visit my grandma Ursula and my
That's
aunts, my
dope.
cousins, and my
Yeah.
uncles, because he had five other brothers, and to this day, I'm in contact with them.
That's dope, bro. That's dope. That's
Yeah,
dope.
so I
That's
didn't
dope, man.
take the incident with him and my mother against the day side of the family.
Yeah, that's definitely mature for your age, man. Back then, and
Mm-hmm.
sorry you had to experience that. I found my wife dead, so of course it
Yeah,
wasn't my
I saw
mom.
that documentary. I saw it.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
you went through it, brother.
yeah, yeah. All praise to the Most High. He got us both through that. So then let's
Mm-hmm.
move on. Let's talk about growing up in Trenton, man. Like what was the teenage years like? Like I'm not as old as you, so I don't know that Trenton. Take me back
Mm-hmm.
to them years, man. What how was it as like a teenager, and what's the things you used to get into? What was going on in Trenton?
My teenage years, uh, I played. Let's go back a little bit. When I was
Okay.
younger, when I
Okay.
was in Junior One Jefferson School,
Okay.
um, we didn't really like have. We had the first my eighth grade year. They had Junior One football
Mm-hmm.
in five, two, three. All of us had individual football teams.
Mm-hmm.
And then my ninth grade year, they integrated all the teams to get all the schools together, junior one, two, three, four, and five.
Mm-hmm.
And first they said it was a disaster because North Trenton against East Trenton and
Mm-hmm.
Wilbur section, and we were fighting in the locker rooms, fighting on the bus stops, and then once we started winning, we were undefeated that first year. But once we started winning our first two, three games,
Uh-huh.
we gelled and we gelled
Wow.
together and kind of like brought the community together because everybody coming from different sections and we were different leaders in our different sections.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of like it was a good thing that we got integrated so we wouldn't have those different rivalries. Because I used to be everywhere. People didn't know if I was from North Trenton, Wilbur section,
Mm-hmm.
West Trenton. I was they nobody really knew what part of town I was from.
Yeah, that's dope, man. That's dope, man. How
Yeah,
was it
so that,
socially in terms of hanging out? Like besides sports, what did y'all do? Where the places y'all hung out at? Like back in those days.
yeah, but go back to junior one, which is crazy because at junior one it was North Trenton and East Trenton
Mm-hmm.
that went to school together, and we used to have parties in the gym. I
Wow.
mean, I'm sorry, in the cafeteria.
Wow.
And there used to be like guys, so people from North Trenton and East Trenton,
Uh,
and North Trenton might be sitting on one side of the cafeteria and East Trenton on the other side. But we
wow.
still had parties, and it really wasn't any problems. There wasn't any fights, anything. We had a good time, and, in the cafeteria. In the eighth grade, ninth grade, and Friday nights they let us have parties in the cafeteria at night, and
Wow.
it was a good time. It was a real good time.
Indeed, indeed. Now let's take it up to the high school years, man. Now you in
The high
Trenton
school
High,
year.
man. Take me when you get to Trenton High and you're in this big school now. Like, take me back to those years and what was that like?
Uh, it was kind of good, like I said, from the freshman football team, and
Uh-huh.
we went undefeated, and we used to have to deal with the upperclassmen because we had to get bus the when we had to get bus from junior one, two, three, four, and five to Trenton High to practice
Mm-hmm.
at Trenton High ninth grade year. And at the same time, you had the 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, the upperclassmen, that we practiced together on the
Mm-hmm.
football field. So we were kind of like getting established with the school, even though we
Mm-hmm.
weren't there our ninth grade year.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of like set the tone because, I had an attitude where I don't care if you was 10th grade, 11th grade, if we line up, I'm gonna try to knock your head off.
I love it.
So I kind of gained respect at Trenton High before I got there, just like Andrew Bobbitt,
Mm-hmm.
Darrell Hall, Orlando Peterson, Elliot Robinson, Wayne Brown, and so we kind of like showed our skills and our confidence in ninth grade. So when we got to Trenton High, it was like we was already in the mix. So football
Mm.
really helped us in our teenage years. And I never get one time when I got to Trenton High, my 10th grade year, the cafeteria, is
Yeah.
huge. So
Yeah.
I was sitting in the chair talking. I went to go get my food. I came back. It was upperclassmen sitting in where I was sitting at.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not condoning violence to the young people, but this is how it was back in the 80s. And I said, yo, man, I was sitting there. He was like, who you talking to, freshman? I said, I'm telling you, I was sitting in the seat. He said, well, I'm sitting here now. So I put my food down on the table and I had to do him. I took his head off.
Wow.
And after that, I ain't had no problems. So
Mm. How was it playing for the legendary Coach Quinn?
it was it was rough in the first because he was a hardcore coach,
Uh-huh.
and but he was making men. He knew
Mm.
that everybody wasn't gonna go to college,
Mm-hmm.
but he set the tone and standards that we had to follow. And if you didn't follow that, you couldn't be a part of his program. It
Mm.
said if you don't practice, you can't play. If you don't run, you can't ride. Like
Mm.
and he stuck by that. Like when I was in my 10th grade year, we had like that I looked up to guys that was in 11th, 12th grade. But like I said, we went undefeated our first year as freshmen. He was just cutting guys. He was just like he didn't care who you were. Like he would just Quinn would call you if you wasn't raising to his standards. He'll call you a nobody. And people say to this day, if you did kids like that now, he would have been fired. But
Mm.
if somebody wasn't going to Quinn standard, he'll call you a nobody. You're a nobody because you're not putting in the work.
Mm.
And I like that standard because you couldn't just be on the team just to be on the team. If you wanted to be on Trenton High team back then when Quentin was running it, you wanted to play football.
Mm.
And you had to earn to wear that jersey on Fridays, the day before the game.
Mm-hmm.
You had to earn to wear that jersey in the hallway, and you had to want to be on that team because Quinn did not take slackers, and he made a lot of us successful. He got a lot of us in college. A lot
Mm,
of us went to the military and
mm,
did great things in military, like Wayne Brown. I think he just retired like 4 or 5 years ago. He made a lifetime career in the military. He's doing great things, and a lot of us went to school. Like 10 or 12 of us went on to college
all praises.
under his leadership, and Coach Beatty and Coach Parker and all the majority of the coaches went to HBCUs,
Mm-hmm.
and I really think that my success comes a lot from started with Coach Quinn, because I really didn't have even though my grandfather raised us,
Mm-hmm.
he really wasn't. He was laid back, and Quinn, I think he saw in us the possibilities, and he brought it out because he was really stern on me. I talk about it in the book. He really was on my butt about being successful. And we have a great relationship to this day. When I was in the hospital, I used to go over there and chill out and watch football games at his house
Dope.
and
That's
everything.
dope.
We really grew like a father and son bond, and he really uplifted me and made me. Really, he prepared me for Grambling because his hard work in practice and talking about life, and then going on down to Louisiana to play for Grambling State University. Under Quinn and, like I said, Coach Beatty and them Tula, it gave me the fortitude to that nobody that lines up in front of me, whether you from Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. I had the attitude that I can compete with you, and I did.
Before we get to Grambling, when you think about Trent High football, give me that one game, the first game that come to your mind that you played in,
Um,
like that big
the
game, the one.
well, our junior year, like Notre Dame was our big rivalry because that was
Mm-hmm.
our first
Mm-hmm.
game of the season, and it was kind of
Wow.
crazy because Notre Dame had Chappie Moore and them had a great program,
Yeah.
and before our two teams to get together to play the first game, because prior to us going into the 10th grade, Trenton High was always like 1 in 10. Like
Wow.
the only team they ever beat was McCorston,
Wow.
which is now it was Trenton Catholic, but back in the now I think they call it something else now.
Yeah.
But
Thrive
that was the
Charter.
only
Yeah.
team. That was the only team prior to us going into the 11th grade that Trenton High won against. It was
Wow.
one in that. Because I never get Tony Mack. Coach Quinn told Tony Mack his sophomore year, and it was my junior year. He said, "Tony, you only gonna be here one. You gonna be here 3 years and only gonna win one game." Talking about the other guys, and we were like,
Wow.
"What?" So my 11th grade year, we played against Notre Dame, and we blew them out 38-0.
Wow.
Yeah, and then another, was that my 10th grade? Yeah, my 11th grade year. We blew them
Wow.
out 38-0, and we missed the playoffs. We went 7-3, but back then the numbers were different. Like
Mm.
today, we
So
would have
y'all
went to
was
the
the team
playoffs.
that turned around the program then.
Exactly,
Wow,
exactly.
that's dope, man. That's dope. Now
Yeah,
that's
we
putting your
we
stamp on the program right there, right
yeah, and
there.
that was one of a great thing too, that the underclassmen, you know, took on our legacy, and they also went on to college. John
Mm,
Hendricks and Leslie Tanner went to Winston State, and other underclassmen. They went on to HBCUs to do great things, and then they come back and tell us that we motivated them to keep the legacy of Trent High. That's when Quinn left. It broke my heart that he left.
wow. Now
And I
let's
don't know
take.
if you want to go.
Okay.
If you, I don't want if you want to go into it now with the sports thing. Like you see Trenton High uh, athletics, as far as
Hmm.
football and basketball, the way it used to be. I don't know what the track team doing, but it's kind of like failing. It's
Mm.
nothing. Yeah, I have nothing against Puppy Dog and all them with their programs, but it's the level of coaching that prepare you for the next level.
Mm.
Like I played Division 1 football,
Mm-hmm.
Division 1 AA football.
Mm-hmm.
I got a Division 1 mentality. But if
Mm.
you got coaches that play, in my opinion, Group 2 or Group 3 football in their collegiate years, they're gonna have that Group 2, Group 3 mentality.
Wow.
You
Okay.
know what I mean? Like because I'm telling you, at Grambling State University, boy, if you ain't had
Come
that
on.
dog in you, you was
That's where we
going
about to
home.
go right now. Take me to Louisiana, man.
Oh man.
Take me to Louisiana, bro. I remember the
So what?
first time I saw you. Hold up. The first time I saw you picture, I didn't know who you was. I was getting treatment at Poppy office, and you had a picture in there. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, who that dude? He looked like he was serious. You had that Grambling. I think it's that picture right there, yo. Then you had that picture in Poppy office, right?
Right, right. And I
Yeah.
never forget the legendary Steve Worthy, to play basketball for Trenton High.
Uh-huh.
He said when Poppy used to be taping him up, getting him ready for the game, he used to stare at my picture.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I saw that joint in there. That's when I
Yeah.
first saw that picture. All right, take me to. How did you even get to Grambling? Take me through the recruit and everything, bro.
Before I went to Grambling, I went to a JUCO
Okay, okay.
college in Murfreesboro. Matter of fact, Greg Owens, he graduated from there. The referee, he referees now.
Mm-hmm.
He played baseball for a while, but he was after me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a tweener. I was 6'4", 250.
I can't hear you.
Huh?
Speaking to the mic. Speaking to the mic because I couldn't hear you.
One of them got me into Shawan.
Okay.
And I'm telling y'all right now, JUCOs is where it's guys who don't have good grades or they're tweeners like me, but they got that dog in them to go to the next level.
Mm.
So, people talk about JUCOs. I'm telling you, JUCOs is beast at JUCOs. So
Mm-hmm.
I went there one year, and me, the coach and I, we got into it. Because Murfreesboro, North Carolina is racist as hell. And the matter of fact, Nate McMillan,
Mm-hmm.
who played for the Portland Trailblazers, he played on the basketball team at Shawan. And Shawan was known.
Mm-hmm.
And Nate and I used to hang out. And Nate went on to be, to play for uh, the Supersonics.
Yeah.
Then he
Yeah.
wound up being the coach for the Trailblazers.
Yeah.
He wound up being assistant coach for a couple of Olympic teams. And we were good friends at Shawan. It was me, Nate, and Donald Fletcher from South Carolina. And like I said, at Shawan, we were beasts. We made it all the way to the playoffs. And I went there as a center, but I was like I said, under Tulis and Quinn and them, with that attitude, I was ready to. I never get this guy. He was from North Carolina. This dude
Mm-hmm.
looked like Apollo Creed. I'm telling you, this dude was built. Him and we walked to the cafeteria. Brian Williams from West Side, and he went to school with me. And we walked to the cafeteria. And this Apollo Creed looking guy, was like, I had big cheese on the back of my sweatshirt. He said, I can't wait to get some of that big cheese. And I was like, you get some big cheese right now. Oh, man, chill out. I said, when we get that equipment on, I'm gonna whip your ass. And so when
Mm.
it was time to hit, guess what Apollo Creed was at?
Where?
On the sideline with a ice pack around his knee. And I said, this is how I'm gonna do you. So I'm taking out my attitude on other players looking at Apollo Creed. And Apollo
Wow.
Creed wound up being on the Trailway bus. I never had a chance to get him. Because I said, I can't wait for you to get your equipment on.
Wow.
So Garrison and I, the head coach, we got into it and I left Shawan. I
Mm-hmm.
called Quinn. I had a 2.8 grade point average. And while I was there, I was looking at magazines at different schools, and I saw that they had two linemen at Grambling that was my size. So
Mm.
I said, I'm gonna apply for Grambling. I'm gonna apply for Grambling. But during
Mm.
that process, I went to go visit Tony Mack at Howard because he was
Mm-hmm.
playing football and baseball for Howard University. So I go visit Mack and Willie Jeffries
Mm-hmm.
was the head coach at Grambling. His son saw me and he was like, "You went to Shawan because Shawan was known for football and basketball." So I told his dad, Coach Jeffries, about me. I went home. Tony Mack called me back and said, "Coach Jeffries want to meet you."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "All right, I come back because I wasn't doing anything." Jeffries offered me a scholarship because I went to Shawan. He didn't even look at the tape. He just looked at my side. He said, "You're gonna have a scholarship." And Mama Drama. And while I was there, my mom called me and said, "I got a letter from Grambling. I got accepted to Grambling." So I told Tony Mack, "Mac, I'm going to Grambling." He said, "You don't know nobody down there?" I said, "Mac." He said, "Chief, you got a full scholarship, man." I said, "Yo, man, this too close to home, man." I said, "I'm gonna go ahead and walk on the Grambling. I'm gonna go to Grambling." So
Wow. That's faith. So you turned down the scholarship to walk on?
on the ground. Yeah, something was telling me to go to the ground. So I'm driving this is how God is good. My God is good. So I packed my car up. Matter of fact, Tony Mack was there when I was leaving. I had a 75 Celica, I had an iron board in there, I had all a big black luggage thing in there,
Mm-hmm.
a trunk with all my stuff. And I didn't even know how to get to Gramblers. This man told me to just take 95, 85, 20. And I'm driving down 95. And this family was waving at me. This lady, it was a lady, her mother, this young girl that was around my age, and little boy at me on the highway. So when I paid the toll, I asked her to pull over. And she was like, "Where you going?" I said, "I'm going to Grambling." She said, "I'm taking my daughter to Jackson State, Jackson, Mississippi." She said, "Let's follow each other." I said, "Okay." So we following each other, stopping, eating at Shoney's and the Waffle House. 4
Wow.
o'clock in the morning on I-20, my car broke down. I blew a rod
Mm.
in my 75 Celica. Take me to the hotel, take me to, make sure I was good. Because I was in Mississippi. I was in Anderson, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say that they were angels.
Wow.
People in Virginia, North Carolina, somewhere along that way. And my car broke down in Anderson, Alabama, where they had back in the 60s, they had the Freedom Bus Riders, the same
Whoa.
area where the Freedom Bus Riders bus got bombed, and I was at that same depot waiting on the bus to continue to Grambling, and this family. So I knew it was destiny for me to be successful because God was with me, and I caught the trailway bus to Grambling, and it was the spring semester. I had a roommate because I wasn't in the football dorm yet. I was in pinchback, regular with the
Mm-hmm.
regular students. And my
Mm-hmm.
roommate was showing me who the football players were. And they were big as hell. They were some big boys. Um, and the crazy thing about it, so when I went to try out, I didn't know he already had his team.
Mm.
250 people that wasn't to try out for Grambling. It's kind of like the movie Rudy.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get my equipment right away. So I went out there with my shorts and t-shirt, working out when I can, because everybody else had on their equipment. And there was a 7-man sled, and Coach Lee, God bless his soul, Coach Lee, said, "You don't got to do this drill." I said, "No, Coach, I'm going to do it." And I tried to break the sled. I hit that sled so hard because I broke a sled at Trenton High. So I'm
Mm.
trying to break the sled here. And after he saw the way I hit the sled, he was like, "Meet me at Coach Bob's office at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to vouch for you get your equipment." And that's how
Wow.
I got my equipment, and the rest is history.
Mm.
The first time we hit, I was going against this guy named Fred Collins, who was a linebacker, and I knocked the hell out of him. And the other kids, the other players, like, oh, Fred, you let that freshman hit you like that. Oh, Fred. So Fred said he wanted to go again against me. And Fred, when we was lining up for Coach Manning to say, set, go, he hollered, you my freshman. I said, what? I said, what, I'm in prison? As soon as he said go, I hit him. I just stood up and just started welling on him. We just started fighting one-on-one, fighting on the field. And they said that boy from Jersey crazy as hell. And because they couldn't believe that I was fighting the number one linebacker on the team. And we wound up being the best of friends, but he later on died like 5 years ago. But
I'm
I went
sorry to
down
hear
there
that.
setting the tone for Trenton in New Jersey because there was only three of us from the Northeast. It was me,
Mm-hmm.
Barry Lee, and a guy named Leonard. They were from New York, and I was the only guy on the team from New Jersey.
Mm. When you, how was Mr. Robinson as a coach, and how did his style compare to Coach Quinn's style?
I was definitely different. Coach Quinn was straight up tell you you're soft and you're nobody, and you shouldn't even be on this team. Quinn was hardcore, but Coach Rob was like a kind of like a jokester. Bringing the noise, Coach Rob be like, "Hell, son, you big as hell. You got a body like Tarzan, but a heart like Jane. Like you ought to be walking around campus, picking up the side of buildings. You should be walking around eating a box of nails. Hell, damn, I need to tie you into a tree and feed you raw damn meat."
Wow.
He used to crack. But another thing that was good too, and I felt I was a part of the team. One day we was at practice, and I knocked the helmet off of this guy named Johnny Carter. Johnny Carter played for the Colts for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody went crazy when I knocked Johnny Carter's helmet off. He was a linebacker, so they did a stunt, and I was center, and I hit him. When I hit him, it popped his helmet off. So later on that evening at the team meeting, Coach Eddie Roberts like, hell damn it, where that boy from Trenton, where that boy from Jersey? And Curtis Maxey, who wound up playing for the Cincinnati Bengals, he was one of our boys. He said, John, they stand up. They called me by my whole name because my name was so short. They're like, John, they stand up. I said, nah, man, I ain't standing up. He said, you better stand up. That's the old man. Stand up. He said, hell damn it, where that damn boy from Jersey? So I stood up. And he said, hell, that damn boy gonna take somebody's damn job. And
Mm.
but I took it both ways though, Mike. I was like, is he putting a target on my back because I'm from New Jersey, hitting these boys from Louisiana and
Mm-hmm.
Alabama, or he's saying that I'm bringing the noise? It was like I didn't know how to take that compliment. Or was it
Mm-hmm.
a compliment or was giddy? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I wound up being on special teams in my first year. Like I said, it was kind of like Rudy. Remember, Rudy was trying to make the team in the movie. I don't
Yeah.
know if you saw the movie.
Yeah, I saw the
Well,
movie.
my first year there, I wound up playing on special teams. There was guys on scholarship that didn't
Mm.
make the traveling team, and I made the traveling team my first year. But like I said, that goes back to Coach Quinn and other positive black role models. Like even when I was at Jefferson School, we had Sam Scrivens and
Yeah,
Mr.
Mr. Scribbins,
Wiley and
Mr.
Mr.
Wiley.
Hill.
Wow, Mr. Hill. Wow. You named them up,
When I got to,
man.
I went to
Wow.
D1, we had Mr. Player, we had Mr. Carter, Mr. Smith. Like we
Yeah.
had positive black role models
Yeah.
that that helped me grow and my thing is if they did it, I can do it.
Mm. Mm.
So
Mm.
and that's another thing to go back to my childhood when my mother was killed.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't use that as an excuse. Like some
Wow.
people use that excuse. Well, the
Right.
reason why I'm in prison because I seen my mother get shot twice in the head, three times in the body, and my
Mm.
head ain't right. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So I didn't use it as an excuse. I used it as fuel to
Motivation.
be
Uh,
successful. Like
uh,
even though I only knew my mother for 5 years, my grandmother took me in, my brother and I in brothers from Trenton, because we was awarded the state for Virginia because my mother got killed in Virginia, so we had to stay in Virginia. And my grandmother fought for me, my brother and I to come to Trenton, and I didn't want to let them down. I didn't take it for granted. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I didn't use, well, my mom died. That's why I
Mhm.
act like this and that. Nah, hell no. So when I see people that make excuses for their downfalls, I don't want it. I don't even know if we curse on the show, but I don't want to hear that shit because my life was rough as hell, and I use it as a positive than focus on the negative. My mentality was I'm not going to let these people who stuck their necks out for me and sacrificed for me. My great grandmother, my great grandmother who took care of us when we were down there, to my grandmother, grandfather, and the teachers who had faith in me, like the Mrs. Copelands, Miss
You
Lindsay, Miss
naming them.
Jefferson, Miss
You
Thomas,
naming
Miss
them.
Patton,
You have Miss
you know,
Harvey?
Harvey, and all them people. Me and Dr. Copeland, we was down together because he graduated from Grambling too in
Wow,
'55.
yeah. That's dope.
Excuse me, and his wife, Rose Copeland, she graduated from Grambling, and I still stay in touch with her and talk to her on a daily basis, checking on her.
Nice,
She's
nice.
94 years old now.
Wow. Now, we return back to Trent after graduation and stuff. And how soon and why did you become a state trooper?
Well, I always wanted to get back to Trenton. When as soon as I was eligible, got my 60 credits, I was a substitute teacher at Trenton
Mm-hmm.
High. I was like 19, 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to talk to the students about colleges. I was a chaperone for a Black College tour with Miss Morrison and Miss
Wow.
Quinn. The reason why wanted to become a state trooper because he came to Trenton High for a career day.
Who was his
He was a
name again?
brother.
Cause your mic went out. Say his name again.
His name was Trooper Reed.
Okay.
He
Okay.
was there for career day, and he's a tall brother, looking good in his uniform, and was talking to us about the state police. And I always wanted to be in law enforcement. And so
Mm.
I said, if I'm being law enforcement, I'm gonna be part of the best and become a state trooper. I went on to school and Ray's Barbershop on Southern Street, and the guy asked me, "What do you plan to do after you graduate from Trenton High?" I said, "I want to be a state trooper." Like I said, God is good. It was a test while I was home from school at Trenton High that Saturday,
Mm.
and I looked into it, and I went there that morning, and didn't know what was on the test. I said, well, I'm gonna take the test, and if I fail it, at least I know what's on the test. So when I graduate, I take the test again. And fortunately, I passed the test,
Wow. All praises.
and soon, and I was blessed. As soon as I got out of school, at 23 years old, I was 23 when I became a state trooper.
Mm. So you walk into this big thing of being a state trooper, like, was it many African Americans on there? And if it was very few, like, how was it being a part of that kind of like crew and the things that you saw going on?
The thing too, during that time, this is in 1988.
Hmm.
I didn't know that the government forced the state police to hire minorities, to hire blacks, and I didn't know it at the time.
Hmm.
Quite a few brothers in my class.
Hmm.
I think we had the highest numbers of blacks that one thing about that, you can go through the process, but once you get into the academy,
Hmm.
now they can hire many blacks to go into the academy, but once you get in the academy, you got to do everything else everybody else does. You got to
Wow.
pass 2C, you got to pass Title 39, you got to pass the swim test, you got to
Hmm.
pass the physical. Like you say, like we 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 hired 100 blacks, but through the academy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So so you had to earn being a trooper once they put you in the academy. But it was kind of cool when I was in the academy. They rolled me. They called me Trenton, and I had my brand on my arm. They rolled me, and I was 255 pounds. They rolled me pretty good, but after the academy was over with, I was told that the instructors loved my attitude.
Wow.
Because like even though I was 255 pounds, the first week it was kind of rough because when I was used to run on 29 at the Topaz Safety Park, and I was running probably a 10-minute mile.
Mm-hmm.
But the academy, they run an 8 and 7-minute miles. So I was kind of like
Mm.
behind the class when we first started. But after 2 weeks later, I ran with the class. And there was smaller guys than me that was falling back. And I used to run back because of my football background and
Yeah.
try to help them, run with the class. Like I run it, come on, man, you could do it, you could do it, you could do it. And they were like, leave them, day, and I had to run up and catch up with the
Mm-hmm.
rest of the class. So my leadership qualities at first, it kind of like saw totally struck like this dude is a real leader. But when I first got there, being from Trenton to being 255 pounds, they rolled me pretty good. But they love my attitude and my personality.
That's
So it
dope.
was.
So when you're a full fledged trooper, I remember when I was younger, they had a big thing came out with the racial profiling during like stops on a turnpike and things of that nature. People start filing lawsuits and things of that nature. You being an African American trooper, did you face any kind of pushback or backlash, or like did that put you in an awkward situation being an African American trooper, and then you see all of this stuff about racial profiling and things of that nature? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you gotta
Yeah, the
talk into the mic more. I can't hear you. It's like low.
attitude towards my personality. So
Mm.
I really didn't. I did things in the bud. Like I had a
Mm.
sergeant at my second station. Uh, like he was a Hitler. Like he had like swastikas and
Wow.
on his uniform and bringing Hitler flags and planes and and I used to be like, Sarge, like what's going on? Like this is the mood, like
uh,
I used to like deal deal with him on that level, like, Sarge, what's up with you and Hitler? Like because one time we was watching the news eating lunch and there was a black anchor woman. He's like, turn that channel. She's a lesbian. I said, Sarge, we get the news. I said, I know why you want to change it. You want to change the channel because you black. No, Dave,
mm,
did you go again?
mm,
And I used to like attack him. Like I didn't like sit back and like I ain't saying nothing to him. You know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? I used to mess with him because one time his son was the VMI, Virginia Military Institute, and he showed some pictures of his son, and it was a picture with a black eye in the picture. I was like, oh my God, Sarge, you let your son take a picture? They cut it out. I used like reverse psychology on
mm-hmm,
him, and
mm-hmm.
but I said I said you can do. I used to tell the white boys, y'all can go to your all white golf courses, tennis courts. I don't care. But for 8 hours, when we on that highway and I say signal 27, that means trooper need help. You better haul ass to help me. After work, you can do what you want to do. Because I
Mm,
had an incident one time. This was when I was in narcotics, and we had a sergeant, and he was the same way. He had the Russian stuff and Hitler and picture in his office where this Marine was kicking this kid. I think it was in South Africa somewhere. Ring kicking this little kid. The kid had to be like 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I look, oh, what's up with that? Mike, I went home in my office of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton. I had all kinds of Tuskegee Airmen, all that was all. So my lieutenant saw it in my office. He's like, John, what's this? And I say, well, I want to show that black folks fought for this country too. I said, but
Mm.
Sergeant can have a picture in his office where a U.S. Marine is kicking a black kid in his ass. I'm gonna show him. He said, you want me to tell him to take it down? I said, nah. He
Mm.
already showed his jacket. Yeah, ain't nothing.
Mm.
Don't take it
Mm.
down. But
Mm.
accept my stuff I have in my office. You know
Mm.
what I mean?
Mm.
So I just did reverse,
So
I
now,
didn't try to assimilate.
okay. So
Just
take me.
like when I was on the
Okay.
turnpike, same thing. I
Mm-hmm.
brought in tapes of Fred Hampton, Attica riots, Glory, different black tapes, and had them look at these tapes, and the white guys didn't
Educating them,
tell,
huh?
huh?
You was educating them, huh?
Yeah. Why are you bringing these tapes? I said, because I don't want history to repeat itself. You
Mm.
think in Attica they shot down, they killed correction officers, they killed prison, they killed white guards, black guards. They just went there. You want history to repeat itself? And I said, Fred Hampton, he was trying to feed kids because of police brutality, and the cops was breaking in their center, pissing on the kids' lunches and food.
Mm.
Having programs in the state and the city now where they give away lunches. They took Fred Hampton, I did, after the
Mm.
cops killed him at the age of 21.
Wow, that's deep.
I said when Denzel predicted when he went to go and got whipped for going to get shoes and food to fight for this country, and they turn around and whip him, and because I never get a sergeant when I showed that movie Glory, and he was getting whipped. I don't know if you remember the scene, and that
I
tear
remember.
dropped off her,
Yeah.
and my sergeant said, "Oh, he broke him. Yeah, he broke him." I said, "What you talking about, Eric? He ain't break him. They dropped that tear because he's fighting for this country, and y'all still punishing him for fighting for freedom for blacks and whites." And another white guy
Mm.
said, tell him, cheese. I was educating
Mm.
them. So I really didn't have to deal with that part of racism in the state police because they knew who I was. And
Okay.
that's another problem I feel with some of our black officers. They still got that passive mentality when it comes down to law enforcement instead of educating these white boys.
Well.
Because sometimes I used to go to the Trenton police station, and there's brothers that, you be down nightlife and blackjacks laughing and giggling. And then when I was in Trenton police station, they wouldn't even shake my hand. They'd just give me a nod. I'm like,
Mm.
what?
Mm. Which brings me to my which brings me to my next brings me to my next spot. Take me to the night of October 20th, going into October 21st, 2000, at Maxine's. What happened that night?
Crazy incident. When Tyson was fighting the Russian guy, and the Russian guy quit around. I was over my buddy house. He had a fight
Mm-hmm.
party.
Mm-hmm.
So once the Russian guy quit, stopped by DJ Flex had a birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Flex and a friend of mine. I said, yeah, I'll take you home, but I'm gonna stop by Flex party at Maxine. So she's like, all
Mm-hmm.
right. So we ride down there, and all these cop cars was dumber parked in the street, but it was an open. I pulled my truck. Mind you, it was undercover. I was doing undercover at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I used the truck. I was driving an undercover car off duty,
Mm-hmm.
truck off duty. Well, anyway, to make a short story short, Power God was out front. You remember Power?
Yeah,
God bless
you
his
did.
soul.
Yeah, rest in peace, Power God.
He was the student of mine when I was substitute teaching at Junior One and Trenton,
Mm-hmm.
telling me that Page ran out of liquor and he called the cops. So while we were talking, this Lieutenant Whitmer come out there, screaming, move the effing truck. And the crazy thing about it is Whitmer, I thought he knew me because when I was stationed in Trenton, he used
Mm-hmm.
to back me up. So I thought he knew once he came to the truck, oh, that's Day. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
he still was acting stupid. Like, and I was like, yo, man, calm down, man. I'm in law enforcement. I'm here to help. I ain't here to cause no problems. To make a story short, I got mazed. My friend, she got mazed. I
Mm.
got locked up. About it is, it happened on a Friday. I get locked up.
I can't hear you.
They suspended me the next day on Saturday, and they suspended me on Monday.
Mm.
Suspended me for it. And the crazy thing about it is, Judge, uh, my friend, brother, he was the judge at the time. So when I went in there for arraignment, he said, "Oh, this definitely is not guilty." So that after that, I was suspended. And that Tuesday, it didn't get into the paper until Tuesday. The incident happened
Mm-hmm.
on Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and then they put it in the paper on Tuesday, and that was propaganda. That they act like you read the story like I was at the club and I left my truck out there and I wouldn't move it. And
Mm.
luckily, it was people there telling people after they read the article like, "Cheese wasn't at the party. He wasn't in there." Once they suspended me, I got in touch. My frat brother got me in touch with Al Sharpton,
I
and
remember
then
that.
Al Sharpton got me in touch with Johnny Cochran and Rubenstein.
Wow.
Like I had the dream team.
I
I had the
saw it. I
dream
saw it.
team.
I said, this dude, this dude moving.
I had the dream team. So everybody, and the crazy thing about it though, Mike,
Uh-huh.
at this time, it was two white boys. I don't know if you remember that shot up a van. His brothers going to school in North Carolina, and they shot up a van in on the turnpike.
Mm-hmm.
And these two white boys got desk jobs.
Mm.
They were still getting a check.
Mm-hmm.
Locked up by some white boys that's lying, knowing I was there to help. I wasn't there. Man, you know how big I am. If I was
Yeah,
acting a fool, you
I
would have
know.
had like 4 or 5 of those Trenton cops with black eyes,
Uh-huh.
mouth wired. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I didn't resist arrest. Because if I were to resist it,
It would have been a problem.
you would have
Yeah.
saw the results of resisting. And at the time, which is crazy, and we got to talk about this. Mayor Palmer was black. The colonel was black. The head of the state police.
Mm-hmm.
These brothers believe, so-called brothers, not black in thought, this lieutenant who was lying and had me suspended for a year
Wow.
without pay, brother.
Wow.
You had 3 black men in leadership.
Wow, bro. That's crazy. Sorry you had to go through that, bro. I
But
understand.
I had,
I
but the crazy thing about it is, I had my white captain, Kenny Hess. He vouched for me. Another captain, Malice, who's a white guy who was my lieutenant at Bertha. He suggested to the black colonel, this is a battle of egos. John Day ain't gonna he ain't taking nothing from nobody. Bring
mm,
him back and put him on the desk. But the
mm,
black colonel was worrying about what the white boys were gonna think, because he suspended 2 white boys, but one of the white boys shot a gun through the front door and went to his neighbor house. The other dude had a domestic violence where he beat his wife up. Warrant suspension. Warrant suspension. But he was scared what everybody else would think if he would have brought me back to work, which is sad. That's
I
why when you have black leadership, I don't care what color. If you're a black leader and you're afraid to make decisions that's hard, you shouldn't be a black leader.
Bro, I've been there, bro. When I went through my situation, God sent me three white people, white men that helped me. First, He sent me a lawyer that took me pro bono. I knew a few black lawyers. Ain't none of them ever even called me and asked me if I needed help or none of that. So then it was the detective that was investigating me. Two of them was black, and they was pressing me, pressing me, pressing me. And then Scott Sammons, this white guy, got on the case. As soon as he got on, he read it and said, I knew as soon as I read it, you ain't have nothing to do with it. And he called me and was like, even if we don't arrest these dudes, Scott told me, I'm gonna get you your life back. He was the first person that ever said that to me, bro. Just that whole situation. You get what I'm saying? And I'm looking at them two like, yo, like, I ain't do this. You know what I mean? And then it was a younger white brother that took me through my 12 steps and helped me find God. You know what I mean? So I know like God is send people no matter what color they are to help you. You know what I mean? And I also know when people be making decisions because they want to move up. You know, you know what I mean? That's just the fact of the matter. You know what I mean? So
I got you right, but this is another thing crazy too.
go ahead, brother.
This incident, like I've been well known since the fifth grade.
Mm-hmm.
Did it happen, brother? You find out who your true friends are,
Oh,
man.
you better believe it. You
And
better
like if
believe
you
it.
see me now, you'll probably see me with one or two people, or you'll probably
Wow.
see me by myself when I'm out. Because
Wow.
I definitely found out who my friends were during that incident. You talking about abandonment.
Mm-hmm. I've been there, bro. I've been there. What when you got to the conclusion, how did everything end out of the situation?
After, like I said, after I was suspended for a year,
Mm-hmm.
I came back to work. I didn't have attitude. Wound up, working in Camden and Irvington and Newark and running different squads with different police departments all over the state.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Places, at the end of my career, I ran the task force in Trenton,
Mm.
and I used to go to Trenton meetings and stuff like that. And I'm dog, but I used to walk in there with straight confidence, straight. You talking about head up, brother,
Mm-hmm.
shoulders back,
Mm-hmm.
and giving my opinion. And some of the guys like, I can't believe you were the guy that 10 years ago that Trenton arrested. Like I would have never
Mm.
known you was the guy because they painted me as a monster.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, the media.
Like I was on 101.5 as a moron. People, like killing, trying to kill
Wow.
my character. They try to kill a black man character first. And I came back to work, being the leader that I am, and got mad respect from at the time Director Perry. Anything I needed, he gave me. I never get. Remember the softball things in the park?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I never get one time they said somebody was going to sabotage the thing and do a drive-by shooting.
I
And
remember that.
Rush called me, Mike Anderson called me. And I called Perry. I said, Perry, I need some marked patrols at the softball this Sunday. What do you need? I said, just have a couple of marked units, but I want the officers to be black. I want to be black officers out there. He said, Day, I got you. I got you. I said, I don't
Mm.
want nobody messing nobody. I don't want nobody doing all I want is presence. And he did it. Like he had
Mm.
black officers out there. He said, Day, whatever you need.
Mm.
And like I said, he was a white boy and he respected what I wanted and he gave it to me.
Speaking of that, the
And that's
softball.
one of the
Oh,
things
God.
that I look at, like I talk about black leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Don't window dress, man. Don't get in a leadership position to window dress. Like I never thought I would make lieutenant. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I never thought I would make sergeant first class. And when I got in that leadership role, I ran with it. I
As
ain't
you
go
should.
back to the year 2000. these white boys locked me up, blah, 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 blah. I showed my leadership, and they couldn't deny me. They couldn't deny me, Lieutenant, because I showed Lieutenant qualities.
Mm. You also was always big in doing community stuff, man. Let's talk about some of the things you did in the community when you was working in the community. You know what I mean? You had the youth summits, the football camps, things. What prompted you to want to like dive into the community so deep?
Story. Like I said, my mother was killed by
Mm,
my father. I witnessed it, took me in. So I know it's possible if you want it. So
mm,
and I see in these kids' eyes the possibilities. So I try to help the kids that want it. The kids that want it, that's the kids that I, I attached to. And just like I said, I had role models like Dr. Copeland and Mr. Wiley and all those black positive brothers.
mm-hmm.
And possibilities because I could have went any direction
Facts.
under my situation. So
Facts.
I want a kid to be like I never get one. Well, I used to coach at Camden High football,
Mm-hmm.
University of Kentucky. He said because I used to tell them stories too and give my speeches in the situation. And he said, "What would John Day do in this situation?"
Wow.
Kentucky brother, Day. What would Coach Day do in this situation? You never know who's looking at you. You're inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
I conduct myself the way I do, and I try to get back to the kids. And hopefully they'll move forward. Like it's a kid right now, Tamir. He played basketball for Trenton High. I really didn't know Tamir.
Mm-hmm.
I took Tamir under Brazil, who played for Trenton High. I took them to a couple of football clinics, one in
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth, one in Lakewood. No Tamir. Now that Tamir, he's not playing basketball, but he at Norfolk State.
Mm.
And I mentored Tamir. I
That's
send him
dope,
some
bro.
change every now and then. He don't even know it. I just cash out him a couple of dollars, and he was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Thanks a lot, Mister Day. You were
That's
right on
dope,
time."
man.
Like because this
That's
kid
dope.
is still in school.
That's dope, man.
Like
That's what Mr. P and
a
them.
lot of
That's
people they give scholarships away to these kids, but they don't stay with them. Like you got to
yeah,
stay with these kids to motivate them to stay
yeah.
in school because they see as somebody that care about them, and they might be doing it for you, but they're doing it for themselves in the long run.
Yeah, Mike and Mr. P and Mike did that for me, man, and I try to do it. I got me a couple of young boys that I do that for, man. They did that for me when I was in school all the way through, bro. You know what I mean? I'll never forget that. Then after that, man,
You do it from your heart. You
indeed,
don't do it for recognition.
at all, at
You don't
all.
get these like the gentleman's ball is a good thing. They do that, but I just want to know: are they staying with the kids after you showcase them and they doing the
Yeah,
walks and all
a
that?
hundred. Oh,
But
facts.
but
Oh,
are
I
you
know what you
stay?
said. I know
Are
what you
you
said.
because I
Yeah, is
wasn't part of the gentleman ball. I didn't fit the mold
oh
as a gentleman because my year was the first year they did it in '83,
wow, yeah, yeah,
and I ain't knocking the jokers, but half
yeah.
of those jokers that was in the gentleman ball, they not doing with even Darryl Hall, who was a hell of an
Wow,
athlete that turned out. He wasn't part of the gentleman's ball.
wow, yeah.
I'm
But
gonna
do
tell
you
them
got to be
stay.
able to are the relationships real? That's the that's the thing. Yeah, are the relationships real? Can you hear me? You hear me good? All right. Now let's get into your first book, bro. What prompted you to want to write it, and how did everything come about?
Just like I said, it's a book about perseverance, and
Mm-hmm.
I talk about the things that I went through, and just like we talked about tonight. But in the book, it's more in depth for people to know that it's possible
Mm-hmm.
to go through. And getting to, I was a teenage dad and going through that with the the mom and all that, and been through that, persevered through um, that with Trenton, and a lot of things that if you got a good heart and you know you're doing what you're supposed to do, God sees that you gonna go through things, and He know you can go through it.
Indeed.
Book, I wanted people to read that book, and that he went through all that, he did all that, he persevered. But you have to do it. You gonna have to want to do it. Just like Gerda said, he who never despaired has never lived. So you got to go through some
Mm.
bumps and bruises.
Mm.
I'm successful just by me still being here at 60. You know what I mean? It ain't
All
successful
facts.
and all that. Yeah, I'm here. And God got me here to, like I said, to pass that torch on. So when I go on, I will never die because there's gonna be a kid out there, whether it's a male or female kid, gonna say, I remember when Mr. Day, Coach Day, told me this, told me that, and we're here to serve. You're born here. You're lucky to be born on this earth. You know how many uh, that daughter says or
Mm.
miscarriages or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're on this earth, you're on this earth for a reason, and that
Mm.
reason is to serve, to keep humanity
Talk
going in
about
a
it, brother.
positive way.
Talk about it, brother. Definitely. Because I had people ask me like why I never had kids, and at times I did regret it because I was just so selfish and self-centered. I didn't want nobody to be able to tell me like I just wanted to party. I was so immature. And I didn't want nobody to tell me like you can't do this because you have a kid or this or that. Like, and I never wanted a baby mom. I just couldn't imagine somebody being able to just take money from me and do things to me purposely. I don't know mentally if I would have been able to really handle that. Like I just don't like stuff like that. But then I thought about all the kids who life God allowed me to touch, all the kids who I was able to help. Would I been able to do that if I was focused just on mine? I don't know if I would have been able to touch with basketball, with mentoring, with all of the different things that I did because I had the time, the freedom of time to be able to do it. You know what I mean? Where I work at now, I work with many kids, and a lot of them when they do their goodbye group, they be like, "Yo, Mr. Mike is like the dad I never had." You know what I'm saying? So it's giving me the opportunity to touch so many lives. You know what I mean? And which brings me to your next book, A Father Deferred. Now, this was a hot topic for you because I heard you talk about this on numerous occasions on your lives you used to do and things of that nature. Like, let's dig into deep to this. Like, what brought this on, and how big of a topic is this for you?
It's deep, brother, because like I said, I was a teenage dad. You know, I had my first son in 11th grade. I was on the 11th grade, and then and
Mm,
I look at 11th grade students now, even my own kids that was 17 and stuff like that, and they had their kids, and that's with my son. You know, my son was one of my motivations to be successful. That was one of the two. My first one, I didn't want to let my grandparents down for their sacrifice for me after my mother was killed. But I could have been still stayed in Virginia.
I can't hear you.
It was for me to raise me. So when I had my kids, I still kind of had their ways. So I wanted my son to be better than me, you
Mm,
know. And but you know, I was 17. The mother was 18, and she got pregnant because she didn't want me to go to college. She wanted me to stay here and get a job. Right?
mm,
She planned the pregnancy. I didn't, but I was young and didn't strap up.
mm,
And the more successful I got, the more vindictive she got, and the
Mm.
more she was, like I took care of my son. When I came home, I worked at the county jail. I worked at grown man money. I was working at factories. I was taking care of my kids, and but once I came a state trooper, it was like a cash cow. Like she was she was straight to the white man, to child services, and she wanted to control.
Mm.
And it was came to a situation where it was a tug of war on my son. Like he wanted to love me, and then she would put stuff in his head to
Mm-hmm.
go against me. So it was like a tug of war. And even her parents, his grandparents, it was like a tug of war. Like I saw my son up for North Trenton Little League because my brother and I played for North Trenton Little
Mm-hmm.
League,
Mm-hmm.
and my grandmother lived right across the street.
Mm-hmm.
So after practice and after games, he'd go right to my grandmother's house.
Mm-hmm.
And her father, the baby mama father, he signed him for West Trenton, Little League, West End. I said, Dave, my brother and I played North Trenton. We gonna keep the legacy. No, I want him to play West Trenton. I said,
Wow.
I'm his dad. You're not his dad. What are you doing? You're a grown man and you going against me. Let me be the father.
Mm-hmm.
That way, and it was driving me crazy. So I let him go, and I talked about that in the book because it
Mm-hmm.
was me against the baby mother, the grandparents, and her brothers. I'm against one. So I
Mm.
had to come to the conclusion that I had to let him go because
Wow.
I told her father. So since you want to be the father, you want to get everything up. You raise it. It's gonna drive me crazy.
Wow.
Point where she went to my job and said, I threatened her and all that. Like you trying to get me fired. So which was lies, and I just had to let him go. And I told the father, I said, her father, if he ever get in trouble, because y'all raised him, y'all wouldn't let me raise him. Y'all raised him. So if he ever get in trouble with the law, like your other two kids did,
Wow. So you told him not to call you 'cause I couldn't hear you.
I mean, and guess what happened? My
Mm.
son got in trouble with the law, my oldest son. And guess
Wow.
what? The grandfather called me, and I told him, I told your ass, do not call me. You deal with it, because you raised them. Because
Wow.
y'all wouldn't let me raise my son.
Wow.
About it's about letting brothers know, don't be manipulated by the system. Don't
Mm.
be manipulated by the baby's mother. I think
Mm.
women should read the book too. And
Mm.
my cousin in Camden, he sells the book at his barbershop, More Than Just Cuts.
Mm.
Recently, he said one of his customers came in. He said, "Yo, man, problems. This brother been through it, and it eased him. It helped him to see that he's not the only person that been through this situation, and that's why I wrote the book so brothers can read it, and they think they going through these trials and tribulations alone, as other men that been through it or going through it right now, because it's not just about my story. It's about
Mm.
about three or four other brothers' stories in this book, and
Mm.
it'll help you with your anxiety. It'll keep you on Earth longer. You won't have a heart attack. Worrying about why this woman is treating my kids and me like that. And once you read this book, it's a relief book. And like I said, I persevered through it. I'm doing good now, and I got my second son. He's a mechanical engineer,
Mm.
doing good things because he listened, and his mother didn't get involved.
Mm.
With because he came. My second son came to live with me his
Mm.
eighth grade year, and
Mm.
he say to this day, I wouldn't be where I'm at now, Dad, if it wasn't for you.
Mm. And you got a daughter too, right?
17, she's doing real well. She going to a doctor program in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
in July. She's doing good things, and I'm proud of her. And my other two sons, they still trying to find their way.
Mm-hmm.
And but hopefully, I tell you stories, and I tell them my life stories. So when they get older, it'll be like, I remember my dad told me that.
Mm.
Tell my kids and the other kids, you ain't gotta listen. But if you want to know what's happening down the road, you ask somebody that's been there. Because a lot of young people like, oh, that happened back in the '60s. That
Mm-hmm.
happened back. Nah, history repeats itself. You're gonna
All
go
the
through the
time.
same thing, brother. You're gonna go through the same thing. Just like I said, the Quins and the Copelands told me stories, and Dr. Copeland went to school in '55. And some of the stories he told me, I experienced them when I was in school in '85, when I was in
mm.
college. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So these young people listen to the old heads, listen to the OGs,
Mm-hmm.
and don't think you know everything. Because I never thought I knew everything. I listened to my mentors, and those mentors helped me get where am right now, and where I still continue to grow. And because I don't hoodwink. I'm not here to BS you. I'm a
Mm.
true leader, and what I
Indeed.
say, I mean.
Indeed. Take me to how did Trenton change over the years? How it was back then and how it is now. Like how do you compare it in terms of the status of it, the living and the well being? Like what's the difference?
My era, we had true leaders. We had
Mm.
true leadership. We had the
Yeah, speaking to the mic more.
like I said, we had the Bo Robinson and the Woodsons, and like
Mm-hmm.
true leadership. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the leadership now is they don't show their strengths
Mm.
to the white man. They don't show their ideas to the white man, and uh, and the white man take advantage of that. To me, they take advantage of it. But if you were, in my experience, being a true leader and giving my opinion, the white man respected.
Mm.
Now is where, like I told you, with the Dunbar, the colonel, the first black colonel of state police, he was concerned about what white people thought on his leadership watch. I'm gonna give you my opinion, and that's not gonna work. Like when we first started crime suppression, the major wanted to name it something targeting. It had something with targeting. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting in the meeting. I'm the only black guy in the meeting. I'm going, we're not we're not naming nothing targeting. And we working in urban environments.
Mm.
Targeting. They're gonna put you out there saying you're targeting black. That's why you want to name a unit target. And they were like, well, Dave, you come up with the name. And that's what we so that's when we came up with the name crime suppression. So we suppression violent crimes, violent criminals. We just not going to urban environments and messing with black people in the neighborhood. If you violent, if you selling crack, you killing our community, you killing each other, I'm gonna get you.
Mm-hmm.
My citizen, I'm gonna show you respect.
What
And
I
and
oh
and
go
that's
ahead.
what I gave in my leadership role. But today, I I'm appalled at the black leadership, and that's what I'm
Mm.
concerned about black leadership. Like they talk about Trump. Trump already said what he was going to do, and he did it. You say what you're going to do when you get in that leadership, you do it.
Mm.
You a racist, they call you that. You be prepared to take for that. Like if I was a police director, I'm telling you, if I was a police director, now, I'm gonna say, and I said it on my podcast before. John Day speaks. If you out there in the street and you 10 and 11, 12 years old It's like in Philly, that 13-year-old killed somebody. Like, why is your 13-year-old in the street at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Mm.
I'm messing with your kid. He's 13. He out in the street 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm.
And then I would have set the tone is, yo, man, they said, have your butt in the house at 10, 11 o'clock. You better have your butt in the house at 11 o'clock because boys are going to get
Mm. Facts.
you. Tone.
Facts.
I'm not, I wouldn't be pleasing everybody. I'm not, if everybody like you, you're doing something wrong.
All facts. All facts. My experience down there is like, in terms of wanting to help kids, it seemed like, and I know other brothers that had the same mentality, that had the same passion. It seemed like the people that really had the ideas, that really wanted to put in the work to really actually make a difference and help the kids, they can't get the shot in terms of city stuff and things like that. You know what I mean? I had the biggest basketball exposure company in the country, and I was doing tournaments everywhere.
No doubt.
And I used to get froze out, bro. I filled out those proposal joints because you know they try to throw paperwork in front of you. I filled out proposals for 5 different uh recreation department heads, 5 different people. Every time they came in, I went down there. I did all of that. Fill out their proposal, played their little game. I had PowerPoints the whole nine. Man, I never got a call back from one of them. Well, everybody, these other cities was just giving me all they gems, let me do tournaments, let me generate money from them. The mayor of Atlantic City was like, bro, you could come down here anytime you want and you could have all our gems. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it was like the people that really want to do stuff, I had to go out to Hamilton and those kind of places to really get stuff done. I couldn't, and it was sad, but that's what it was. And do you see that kind of thing when like during your time down there, the people that really want to make the difference get froze out?
Uh, but I never get, Dr. Copeland told me a long time ago, you'll never be a prophet in your
Your
hometown.
own your own town. Yep. Yep.
About you.
Mm.
You a little bit. You might have dated their girlfriend when you was in the ninth grade, and now you met her when you 30, but you
Uh-huh.
still mad because I dated her in the ninth grade. You know what I mean? Like they had these grown men have um, mentalities
Facts.
instead of
Facts.
getting the job done. And you're right. You're right, Mike, because when I was in Camden, I got to know the mayor,
Mm-hmm.
Vic Starfin,
Mm-hmm.
invited me to his State of the City address.
Mm-hmm.
So I go, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
His staff, half of them, a majority of them, went to high school with him.
Mm-hmm.
That was qualified on board to help grow the
Mm-hmm.
city.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Camden High, they, you know what I mean?
Facts.
They, it's
Facts.
home people.
It's facts. It's facts.
But for
It's facts.
some reason, we can't do it here.
Yeah, I'm retired now, so I don't even do basketball no more. I just thought that was interesting. You know what I mean? We almost done though. We almost done, and we coming to the end now.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I just think that y'all got to get more out and vote
Mm-hmm.
and bring in the real people and stop
Mm-hmm.
the status quo and stop and look at the people work that they've done, not by their name.
Mm.
Show me the fruit that you bear in your leadership role.
Talking right now, bro.
The awards you gave away, and if you notice, they give awards away to all the people that's well known. You know what I mean? They don't give awards away to people that's real, that's doing the work like you and I and other people. They give it to well known people that don't give me an award. I'm telling y'all right now. Nobody in Trenton but I never asked me, do you want to be honored? Don't honor me for nothing for your own status. You know what I mean?
And I just get my
So
awards from the Most High, so I just keep grinding, like doing things like bringing you on to tell your story and understand the work that you're doing, brother. You know what I mean?
I appreciate you having the courage to bring me on, brother, and to
oh,
give my story because
oh yeah, I'm
other people.
bringing people on. You see, I have Coach Murray. He got a chance to tell his story. Yeah, we gonna get to the
It's a
bottom of
shame
it.
how they do it, Coach Mary. You win all those championships, and you're not in the Trenton Hall of Fame. That's personal, brother.
I
That's
know, I
personal.
know, I know, I
That's
know.
personal. But my phone getting my battery getting low on my phone.
All right, so just give your shout outs to the people that helped you get from your pain to your purpose, brother.
Shout out to my God who's been with me and still with me. I want to give a shout out to all my elementary teachers at Jefferson School,
Oh,
my
praises.
junior at Trenton High, at Junior One, Trenton High, and my mentors at Grambling, and my
Wow,
mentors in the state police.
wow.
And I thank God for bringing these people in my life. I thank God for bringing you in my life
You always
and
was a big
people like
brother
you
to
in my
me,
life
man.
to come together and uplift these kids and uplift these young people that wants it but just need a boost and need some help, whether it's small or big. And I'm gonna
Hmm.
continue to do that. And then Mike, I know you're gonna continue to do it and keep that torch lit. And we're gonna do it, brother.
And finally,
Whoever
tell people.
whoever whoever likes it or not. I love me some John Day, and I love the people that I try to help. I don't give a damn what people say or think of me.
Tell people where they could get the book at, bro, because I'm buying it myself too.
LieutenantJohnDay.com, or you
Hmm.
can just see me out in the street. You go to LieutenantJ.com and order the book. I
Hmm.
personally autograph it, make it
Hmm.
personal, and I mail it right to you. It's coming straight from me. It's not coming from Amazon or anything like that. It's coming straight from me. So my DNA is on that page.
All right, Cheese, I love you, man. Thanks for coming on,
Like you
brother.
too, brother.
All right, thanks for coming on, bro. And that was a great show tonight, man. We had fun, man. I'm glad I had the brother on. Tune in next week as I bring another guest on from Pain to Purpose podcast. This Mike. Enjoy the rest of your night. Shalom.